Good afternoon and warm welcome to all of you. This is the fourth video of my government scheme series. You all have a very genuine and a very similar question that how to memorize these all schemes. And therefore, in this video, I have used pictures and tables to increase your pictographic memory so that you can remember the things very easily. Now, coming to the schemes under Ministry of Human Resource and Development. But before that, there are certain articles in our constitution that have a bearing on education. And I know that most of the articles you are acquainted with. But if UPSC asks that which of the following articles or the part of the constitution has a bearing on education, and one of the options out of that, if will be scheduled and tribal areas, then I am very much sure that you all will mark it incorrect. But this is not the case. Now, looking into the different articles of the Indian Constitution. Now, the very first article is in the part 3 of the Indian Constitution, that is Article 13, Article 15, Article 21, 28, and 30. Then now question arises in your mind that how the Article 13 can have the bearing on the education. Just understand this, that we have an RTE Act, and Article 13 talks about the laws. Anything which is inconsistent will be invalid or will be declared invalid by the court. But it is all about the law making power of the legislature or the parliament. So basically this article also has a relevance on the education. Likewise in DPSP, Article 37, Article 38, Article 39, Article 45, 46 and 47 all have a bearing on the education. Likewise in fundamental duties we have Article 51. Also in urban and local bodies, Article 243B, Article 243G, 243Q and 243W have also a bearing on education. And the next one is Article 244 of the schedule and tribal areas, that is the administration of the 5th and 6th schedule, is have also bearing on education. So with this is very important to remember. Understood? Now coming to the scheme which has been in the news under the Ministry of Human Resource and Development. Now the very first scheme is Shreyas scheme. What is this scheme all about? This scheme is about increasing the employability of the Indian youth, because we all know that according to the NASSCOM, only 25% of the Indian engineers are employable, and therefore there is a focus on increasing the job exposure, and at the same time they should earn some stipend also. And therefore you don't need to worry about that. There is a coordination of Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship also. Obviously it will be, because we are giving some job work exposure, and there is also a provision of giving the stipend. Understood? Therefore there is a coordination between different ministries like Ministry of Skill Development and Ministry of Labor. If you can remember this, then obviously if the option comes that this is in the close coordination, you can easily strike it yes or no depending on the demand of the question. Understood? Now the next question is that is this a scheme only for the technical courses or for the non-technical degree courses? Primarily it is for the non-technical. If it is written that it is primarily for the non-technical, it simply means that it is for the technical degree courses also. Okay, and the implementation will be done by sector specific council. Understood? This sector specific council will identify industries for apprenticeship and would also conduct assessment leading to certification. Therefore it simply means that apprenticeship will be provided by sector specific council, and they will also provide certification once the on-job exposure gets completed. Understood? Now the second scheme is RISE. This is the revitalizing infrastructure and system in education. The revitalizing, it simply means that it is not only about this, that you are building and you are increasing the size of the building. It is also about increasing the technological interface in the university. You need to invest in research also, and therefore all the kinds of investment. It is not only about the investment of the building. Now the coming to that, when the RISE scheme has been announced, it has been announced in the Union Budget of 2017 and 18, and the name itself implies that it is for revitalizing of infrastructure in centrally run institutes. It is very important that it is not for the state run institutes, it is for the centrally run institutes. And under the RISE, all the centrally funded institutes like IIT, IIM, NIT, and IISER can borrow 1 lakh crore of the rupees from HEFA, that is Higher Education Financing Agency. We will look into that what is Higher Education Financing Agency, but basically 1 lakh crore corpus for RISE will be done by HEFA, in which 8,500 crore will be given by the government and the remaining by the Canara Bank. Basically, Canara Bank is the partner of the government in HEFA scheme. Understood? Now we will look into that what is HEFA. This is basically a special purpose vehicle with a public sector bank. Here the public sector bank is Canara Bank. Understood? And it is about the HEFA that it would be jointly funded by the bank and Ministry of HRD with an authorized capital of 2000. In 2000 crore rupees, government equity will be 1000 and 1000 will be of this public sector bank. Don't get confused with 1 lakh crore and 2000 crore. Both are different things. Here HEFA will make an arrangement of 1 lakh crore rupees for the RISE scheme particularly. But what is HEFA? In that there is a corpus of 2000 crore rupees only. Now HEFA is a registered under Section 8 of the Companies Act 2013, and also it is a kind of NBFC. So in examination they can make a statement that HEFA is a not for profit company in the Companies Act, but that will also be the correct statement, and it is also NBFC. Understood? Now moving to the next scheme, that is Impress. Now what is this scheme all about? This scheme is all about to increase the funding for research in social science. Understood? Social science. It is not about the research in the science. It is about research in democracy. It is about research in the health, agriculture, media, society, economics, law, health, and education. Understood? This it can be related very easily, social science, and this will be the focus area. Now under the Impress there will be opportunity provided not only to the central universities but also to the state universities and the private universities by UGC. What we have observed in the case of RISE, that only the centrally funded institutes are getting the benefit of the RISE scheme, but in this there will be the participation of central universities, state universities, and private institutions. You don't need to remember that under Section 12B, under the Section 12B of UGC, private institutions are registered, and that only private institutions will be eligible to apply. You should focus only on 2 or 3 very important things, that it will be implemented by Indian Council of Social Science Research, and the scheme become operational in 2018, and central, state, and private university can participate here. Understood? Now the next thing is that whether the retired faculties can apply under the scheme. Yes, retired faculties can also get fund for the research in the social science, but the project director should be a regular employee having the PhD degree. These are the important points with respect to Impress scheme. Now moving to the next slide, that is Spark. It is a scheme for promotion of academic and research collaboration. The word collaboration. Now UPSC may frame the question that collaboration in terms of foreign universities collaboration level only. That statement will be wrong, because there are different kinds of collaboration. This is the first kind of collaboration. That collaboration is happening for research between the universities, and the collaboration is in the focus areas of that research. It is about collaboration between the Indian universities. It is about the collaboration with respect to the focus areas. For example, there are 2 or 3 different institutes, that is that is basically focusing on research in a particular area, that is democracy, then there should be a collaboration on all that institutes focusing on the research in democracy. And the next thing is foreign collaboration, that is the collaboration between the universities of the foreign land and the Indian land. And the last one is obviously there will be a focus on improving research, because we are collaborating only for improving our research. So if you can remember, if you have a pictographic memory of these four, then you can easily remember that what will happen under the spark. Now it aims at improving the research ecosystem, okay, and by the higher educational institution, by facilitating academic and research collaboration between Indian institutions and the best institution in the world from 28 selected nations. Now again, this foreign collaboration is not about that you are collaborating with any institutions of any country. There will be a collaboration with respect to the institutions in these 28 selected nations. Understood? Now moving to the next scheme, that is LEAP scheme, Leadership for Academician Program. Now you will have to just remember this training. Why there is a training? To improve the skill, to improve the experience, to improve or to have the development and to learn new things. For that we need training. So obviously under the LEAP program, if you can remember this, then half of the problem will be solved. But now who will be provided with the training under this LEAP program? The mandatory, or you can say the eligibility condition, is that one should have a minimum 8 years of experience as professor, and they can have the 3 years of administrative experience, impeccable integrity, and high academic standing. Obviously everyone can get the training here when you are telling about high academic standing and impeccable integrity. Okay, everyone can be qualified as that, the person having the impeccable integrity. Now you will have to just remember LEAP and training, that's all. Understood? And the next important thing which you need to remember, that it is a training program to have the second level academic functionaries in the public funded, this is important, the public funded higher educational institution, not in the private funded higher educational institution. It is not about the geo university, it is not about that. It is not about the university funded by the Airtel. It is about the public funded higher educational institute. Now the next is ARPIT scheme, that is annual refresher program in teaching. Now it is about the online professional development. Therefore you just need to remember that this person or this woman is basically gaining the professional development courses in the online mode. Understood? Therefore there is a online professional development mode, and you all know that we have the e-platform, that is massive open online education courses. We are providing the courses through our platform Swarya. Understood? Therefore in the context of the government scheme, this online, or you can say this online professional development, will be done through Swarya. That's all you need to remember. Now for implementing ARPIT, 75 discipline specific institutions have been identified. Now if I want to have the professional development course, there must be certain institution that should collect some of the resources, and that resources should be provided online. And for that the government has created National Resource Center. Under National Resource Center there are 75 specific institutions. You don't need to remember this. Now these NRC will develop online training material. Now the question arises that what kind of that specific institution comes under National Resource Center? There will be a mix of the universities, that is central universities. There can be IISc, Indian Institute of Science. There can be IIT, NIT, IISER, state universities. Anyone can become the part of the National Resource Center in order to generate the resource to provide online professional development. Understood? Now this is very important, that is Institute of Eminence. Here there are some of the pointers which you need to remember, otherwise you may get confused in examination and may mark the wrong answer. Understood? Now Institute of Eminence, the nomination for the institute to get or to be the part of Institute of Eminence is done on the recommendation of empowered expert committee. Understood? And the second thing which you need to remember, that the public and private institution will be granted this tag, both public and private. Okay, but that public institution that have not appeared in QS 2019 ranking, QS 2020 ranking, and National Institute of Ranking Framework, if they are not the part of these ranking, they cannot be provided with the tag of Institute of Eminence. Understood? But after that, for example, if the government thinks that I can give the tag of Institute of Eminence only to 10 institutes. Understood? Now, that 10 institute, that the space of that 10 institutes may be filled by the public institution. Understood? Now in that case, these private institutions will not get the tag of Institute of Eminence, but if the slot is available, then the private institution will also get the tag of Institute of Eminence. And for them, this is not the criteria, because when the GEO has been granted Institute of Eminence, then the GEO has not even established, or GEO has not even constructed. Therefore, they are being provided with the tag of Institute of Eminence under greenfield category. Understood? This is for the private institute, and this is for the public institute. And the second and most important thing is that if the public institute getting the tag of Institute of Eminence, they will receive the government grant of 1000 crore rupees. And this 1000 crore rupees grant of the government cannot be availed by these private institutes. Understood? This is very important to remember. Now the next scheme is Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan. Now, why I have made this three diagram, that is center, state and institution, I will come to that. But before that, it has been launched in 2013. Why it has been launched? It has been launched to give funding to the state higher educational institution. Basically, the focus of RUSA is to improve the status, or you can say is to improve the access, is to improve the equity, is to improve the quality of the state higher educational institution. Equity, you all know that it is not that only the person or only the student belonging to a particular category of the economic and social background is coming to the institute, but the person from the mixed community, that is from the SC/ST community, that is person from the minority community, should also be the part of our education system. And accessibility, obviously, to increase the access. And the last one is quality in terms of infrastructure, quality in terms of you can say research, quality in terms of laboratory. So this is basically to improve the state higher educational institution. We have launched RUSA. Now the question arises that what is the funding pattern under the RUSA? The funding pattern of 60:40 will be followed between center and state. And the next is center and special category state. It is about general category state. If there is a, or you can say, if the government at the center is providing strategic funding to the state lying in this special category, then the funding will be 90:10. Understood? Now, the next is UT. When the center is giving the strategic funding to the institutes in union territory, then the center will give 100% of funding. Understood? Now what the UPSC can do, that they can say, or they can make an option that under RUSA, center gives a direct assistance or direct funding to the institution. This will be the wrong statement. Center first gives funding to the state, and then a state gives funding to the institution. Understood? This is very important to remember. And therefore there is a focus on upgradation of existing autonomous college and conversion of college in a cluster, so that the funding which is coming from the center can be utilized judicially. Understood? This is all about the RUSA. This is the very important, this is the second and the most important thing, and this is all about that you can remember very easily. Now coming to the next slide, that is Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. Unnat Bharat Abhiyan once comes in examination, you should focus on that. That is inclusive India. That the focus is on inclusive India. That how we can make an India inclusive. The India can be made inclusive by linking higher educational institution with at least 5 villages. It simply means that every educational institution should link with 5 different villages so that there will be an economic and social betterment of these village communities, because this educational institution can bring new technology, can bring new innovation, can bring new and fresh minds of the students and faculty both, and they can improve the economic and social indicators of these village community. Therefore, here I have talked about that what will be the strategy. The strategy will be to engage the students and faculty both and select or invent new technology. Understood? Now the next question arises that whether the state universities can be the part of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. Yes, all the higher educational institutions which are funded by the central and state government and all the institutions approved by the regulatory bodies. It simply means that deemed university can also be the part of that, because deemed university is approved by UGC and UGC is one of the regulatory bodies. Understood? Now moving to the next slide, that is Samagra Shiksha scheme. Samagra Shiksha scheme is nothing but an amalgamation of 3 different schemes. That is SSA, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, second is teacher training, and the third is Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. All the 3 schemes have been clubbed and the result is Samagra Shiksha scheme. Now why I have talked about this preschool and class 12, because these all scheme caters the needs from the students of preschool to class 12, and now this will be done by Samagra Shiksha scheme. Now if I ask you question that when SSA, that is when Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan came into force, can you answer me? Write in the comment if you know the answer. Now what will be the funding pattern under the Samagra Shiksha scheme? That is, the center and the general category state, the funding will be 60 is to 40. And center and UT with legislature, the funding pattern will be 60-40. But if the funding is being decided between center and northeastern states and the Himalayan states, the funding will be 90 is to 10. And the center and UT without legislature, 100% funding will be done by center. Understood? Now SSA, it has been operational in 2000 and 2001, and now if the UPSC makes an option that it has a special focus on the girls education, you may think that I will not confuse in examination, but I am telling you that in examination even the minor thing gets makes you confused. Therefore you need to remember that there is a special focus on girls education and children with, that is the Divyang. Understood? And it also talks about opening of new schools and improving the infrastructure of the existing schools. That how the infrastructure can be improved, it is already being improved under RTE, and also there is a focus on improving the teacher pupil ratio. The standard teacher pupil ratio, that is the teacher student ratio, should be 1 is to 30. Understood? And the last important point is that we have a dedicated web portal, that is Sagun, and this Sagun monitors the progress of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Understood? Now moving to the next slide, that is Nishtha. Nishtha simply means that there is a focus on teacher training. Here this is a teacher, consider her as a teacher, and all are teachers. They are basically going through online, you can say that there is a going on online training program also, and the teacher is very technological savvy. She is using projector and everything and giving training to these teachers. Basically she is a mentor and they are teacher, and teacher training is going on. Now states and union territories have an option. Now this is the program of the central government, and states and union territories have been provided with flexibility that they can contextualize their own modules and can use their own material and resource. It has been launched by Department of School Education and Literacy under Samagra Shiksha scheme, obviously under the Ministry of Human Resource and Development. And the last and very important thing, that it is a centrally sponsored scheme. Understood? Now, moving to the next scheme, that is Stride. A Stride scheme is basically a scheme for transdisciplinary research in India's developing economy. Now, Stride, what Stride will do? Basically, they will support the research that are socially relevant. Just like a Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, that have a social impact and locally need based, that is basically catering the need of the local people and have the national importance and value, that have the national value and that have the capability to make India globally significant. Understood? Now, who will head or who will oversee this entire scheme? This entire scheme will be overseen by the advisory committee, and this advisory committee has been constituted by UGC. Now, how the research projects will go without the funding? It cannot be done. Therefore, it will provide a grant of 1 crore rupees for one higher educational institution and up to 5 crore for a multi-institutional network. Understood? Because we all know that there are different institutions, and they have the sister universities and the sister colleges also, and therefore there is a word mentioning of the word, that is multi-institutional network. Therefore, in that case, 5 crore will be provided, but 1 crore for the higher educational institution will be provided. Understood? And it is not that the research has been limited only to the science project or only to the social science project. It is for the diverse discipline. Understood? This is all about the scheme which has been in the news with respect to Ministry of Human Resource and Development. Now, in the next video, I will talk about all the important scheme of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Hope you all are liking it. Thanks and goodbye.